So it is all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Kumar lines up on pole position and Mick Schumacher completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Ocon, Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Hamilton, Norris and Carlos Sainz, Magnussen, Gasly, Oscar Piastri and Schwartzman, Tsunoda, Vettel, Guan Yu Zhou and George Russell, Stroll, Albon, Ricciardo and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
Okay, this is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix, so let's give them a race worth watching. Okay, how was that pull away? You'll have a bit more grip than that on the start, but we need to warm the tyres properly now. Make sure you get some heat into the brakes as well. Okay, not the best placement there, mate. Let's try and get a good launch as the race starts. Okay, so that's the rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient and watch for those lights. the final lap of the race. Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you pulled through. Thank you very much.
So let's review the drivers' standings. Kumar increases their championship lead. Let's move on to the constructors. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend to push themselves further up the order. With the sprint wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters in red today. They've all turned out for what we have every expectation will be a sensational event here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's driven anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Kumar lines up on pole position and Mick Schumacher completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso and Ocon, Norris, Hamilton, Magnussen and Pierre Gasly. Oscar Piastri, Bottas, they've taken a grid penalty. Yuki Tsunoda and Schwartzman. Russell, Ricciardo, Alex Albon and Lance Stroll. Latifi, Vettel, Sainz and Guan Yu Zhou. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who is beside me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Kumar. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Okay, now that we've got some good points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish. Okay, so everything looks good on the power unit cycles. Okay, incredible parking there, nice one. That's going to give you the edge if you can get a good launch as the race starts. Okay, so that's the rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient and watch for those lights. That's a new fastest lap of the race. Position, front of the pack. Car behind is Mick, and the gap behind us is 1.8 seconds. Your pit window is going to open in 3 laps time. Pit window opens in 3 laps, and that's 14 laps to go. Approaching the pit window and you're going to be on mediums. battery charge is high. Let's use that overtake button a bit more. That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting. Up to speed now, let's get some heat into those tyres. Nice move, good job. Mick is in the pits, Mick's in the pits. Okay, that's us with 5 laps of fuel remaining, 5 laps of fuel left. position, front of the pack. Car behind is Mick. Our gap behind is 7.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 7.7 seconds. We've got enough fuel for 3 more laps. Okay, we've only got 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Hard-fought win today then, after a very difficult race. Anthony Davidson How do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of the race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium. So let's review the updated drivers' standings. Kumar increases their championship lead. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Kumar. Look at where they finished compared to where they started. It's not easy to cut through the field like that in Formula 1, so it was a great effort.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend for them as they fight their way towards the top. Been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula 1 action. Can't wait to see what's next.